Welcome in to another Running with the Wolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, doing it solo today, and we got some big news to talk about. But first, I want to remind you, we're doing a big event tomorrow, Friday, March 29th at the Park Tavern. We're going to be having a live podcast at the Thirsty Pups Wolves Watch Party. It's going to be a great time. Make sure you join us on Friday night. That's tomorrow night at the Park Tavern, March 29th. It's going to be fun. We're going to be giving out prizes, going to be doing a live podcast, and going to be watching the Wolves as well. Can't get better than that. So, crazy news that came out today that the Minnesota Timberwolves ownership, Mark Lore, and the one and only A-Rod are out, which is crazy news coming out because we put out a video, I believe, less than a week ago, thinking that the deal was over. And credit to Chris, he was skeptical of this the entire time. And guess what? He was absolutely right, which is just crazy to think about. So here's basically what we know. What Doogie Wolfson said on KSTP earlier today was that basically A-Rod and Lore did not have enough money or never had the funds to make this deal done. What we heard from Glenn Taylor when he was interviewed earlier today by Doogie was that he didn't know if A-Rod and Lore had the funds. What he did know is they missed the deadline to get it done. They've already filed for an extension on this several times, and they didn't have the funds to get it done when it expired on March 27th. So basically the next day, he basically just says that, hey, I am out of the deal. This is not binding to me anymore. And basically, he's going to keep the team for himself at this point. Now, A-Rod and Lore put out a statement basically saying that they were disappointed in Glenn Taylor's public statement. They said they fulfilled their obligation. They claim that they have all of the funding, and they say that Glenn Taylor's move is a case of seller's remorse. And it is true, there have been several sales of NBA teams upwards of $2 to $3 to $4 to $5 billion that have gone down. I think one reference is the Suns that went down when all that scandal came out. They went for a couple billion. And it seems like Lore and A-Rod were getting a good deal. And I do not know if this is Glenn Taylor getting cold feet or if he's just a staunch businessman and was like, you know what? Guess what? The deadline is up. Sometimes in life, you just got to stick to your guns and stick to the deadline. And I wonder if this is basically Glenn Taylor saying, hey, you didn't meet the deadline, deal's off. Now, he did say that that Mark Lore and A-Rod still retain 36% of the team that they've already bought. So that's interesting to think about because they're technically still part owners of this team. And I would imagine if they stay that way, I mean, A-Rod could still be courtside. Apparently, Mark Lore has him in courtside for a while anyway, which that could be interesting. I read an article from Patrick Royce saying that in February, Mark Lore pitched him, or not Royce, but pitched Glenn Taylor basically another business or another business opportunity, which he is totally fine to do. But it almost seems like it's possible that Lore and A-Rod had their minds in too many different things and didn't focus on the task at hand. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it sounded like from the article that Lori was basically 24/7 in other ventures. And I'm not sure if he was totally 100% the way you need to commit to a franchise. Now, the other thing is, now I know that A-Rod definitely is a millionaire, right? Has a ton of money. I don't know if he has enough personal capita, and I know Chris has been talking about this for a while, to get the job done. I mean, he made millions in the MLB, but millions ain't billions. And I know he's made, like, he's been on Shark Tank, he's had other business ventures. I think there was always doubt that A-Rod could and Lori could make enough money to do this deal. Now, I definitely think that there is some validity to their claims that it's buyer's remorse because, like I said, other teams are going for more. The Wolves are successful. There was some verbiage in Glenn Taylor's talking that basically said, hey, we're a successful team now. Why would I sell it now? Now, he may be hiding that behind verbiage that says, hey, they just didn't make the deadline. And maybe he was looking for an excuse. I know Doug, to go back to the interview I was watching with Dougie Wolfson, I know that he was saying that when he talked to Glenn Taylor 6 months ago in an extensive interview, he wasn't 100% sold. He wasn't completely sold on the idea. And there was some doubt in his voice. Now, listening to him speak is, I don't know. I don't think he's a great orator anyway. That's why I don't think you hear many interviews with him. He kind of stays behind the scenes. But man, what a blow right now. But let's look at this on a positive note, though. The one thing that Glenn Taylor has done well is keep the team in Minnesota. Now, back in 96, he could have easily sold the team, easily sold to someone who wanted to move it. That's always been his number one goal, is to keep this team in Minnesota. And I don't think he'll sell to someone who won't keep the team in Minnesota. And that's what I think. I think he doesn't have a valid offer. And maybe, although A-Rod and Lori said they were going to keep the team in Minnesota, maybe it's possible. Maybe they were backing down on that promise. Maybe he didn't believe them. Maybe they saw the logistics of getting a new stadium and thought, maybe we can get more money elsewhere in a Seattle or a Las Vegas or something like that. Now, there have been rumors that, or not even rumors, Glenn Taylor has said that he could have gotten much more than he got from A-Rod and Lori, but they wanted to move the team to Las Vegas. So I don't want to say I trust Glenn Taylor because years of basketball decisions haven't panned out. But what I do want to say is I don't think all is lost in this situation. First of all, because I think Glenn Taylor is dead set on keeping this team in Minnesota. Now, wins and losses are one thing, but having a team is another thing. You don't want to have to travel to Chicago or Milwaukee just to see an NBA game. Keeping the team here is numero uno on the priority list. I also read somewhere, I think it might have been in the Royce article or the Doogie article, I don't know which one, that this might actually help ticket prices. He said that the money that Glenn Taylor I'm talking about, he says that the money that he brings in doesn't even go into his pocket. It goes to the Taylor Foundation. So I think there's less of an onus to get a new stadium with him and not higher ticket prices with him as well. So it's going to be interesting. The good news is, and I want to talk about this too, Timberwolves got their 50th win last night. And they're in pretty good position in the 2 seed right now, pretty good position to get a 2 or 3 or even 1 seed. So Minnesota fans, do not let this bring you down. The reality is we have a good team assembled right now. Some might say elite team, at least an elite defense assembled right now. And we cannot let turmoil in the front office mute our excitement for something that we have been waiting for decades, almost 2 decades since Kevin Garnett took us to the Western Conference Finals. Do not let this bring you down. They will figure it out internally. There's definitely a chance that litigation comes out. We'll have to see in the near future. But hey, you know what I'm thinking about? I'm not thinking about, man, we lost A-Rod and Laurie. I'm thinking we got a game, a very important game on Friday against the Denver Nuggets with seeding, number 1 seed implications all over it. And if you want to come out to that game and have fun with fellow fans coming out to the Thirsty Pups watch party at the Park Tavern in St. Louis Park, starts at 8 p.m., but feel free to come earlier, stay late, have a beer. It's a Friday night, so there's really no excuse. They're going to be doing a live podcast at halftime. It's going to be great. So come on out to the Thirsty Pups Wolves watch party tomorrow, Friday, March 28th. At 8 p.m. And as always, this is the Running with the Wolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to give us 5 stars. And as always, go Wolves.